So this clown, to me, who is also one of the king of all deceivers in Nigerian politics, who should be ashamed of himself, no other than Umahi, his arrogance is finally meeting mathematics. When Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde asked him for a breakdown of the coastal highway costs so that he should come and talk, and then the so-called engineer of century suddenly ran out of numbers when Rufai first of all asked him, because they knew that corruption was in the system and they were looting and stealing. The same minister who once bagged at Arise TV, Rufai, for daring to request transparency, now cannot defend his own figures. He has suddenly become like Monday Bello of Edo State, who could not read out the figures in his own budget. How can that kind of person execute such a budget? How do you start a multi-trillion-naira project without knowing the cost per kilometre? And even when you now say that the cost will vary from kilometre to kilometre, because some places may have water that will require more filling and all of that, they now said, okay, give us the average. The same minister could not give the average. At least if it's 10 kilometers, what's the average when you take this and give us the average? And that was what Makinde was pointing out. And then again, they now said, okay, for the ones they have already done, give us the cost per kilometer of doing it. He said no, that the roads have been completed, they've not done drainages, they've not done street lights, they've not done this. You just know that this man is hiding something, and then massive looting is going on. So to me, in the end, the man who calls himself a professor of engineering or whatever, just because he is handling an engineering project and which is not even his field, to me that is not engineering, that is corruption, wearing a cap and showing us in the face of the cap that this is corruption. Makinde just didn't call him out. Makinde exposed the system where mega projects are just mega excuses to loot with grammar and graph, because they know an average hungry man in Nigeria, an illiterate in Nigeria, has no business with figures and graphs. So in the end, he was speaking grammar, and some lazy youths in his place are beginning to protest for him. So when a minister tells a journalist you are too small, or implies smallness of a journalist because he is a minister that has been appointed and his salary is being paid by the taxpayers' money, our hard-earned money, that attitude says less about the journalist's size but talks more about the minister's ego. And this is the same thing we have with king of all deceivers, Emperor Wike, the storm that is always raging, because they hate people questioning them. Umahi's anger on live television wasn't confidence. Yes, it was insecurity in designer's disguise. They said this man as a governor used to beat his workers. So he's so full of that ego, and he felt that on national TV he could come and rubbish Rufai, not knowing that he was setting his own downfall. All Rufai did was ask a simple question: how much per kilometer? When he could not answer that, they said, how much is average? He could not answer that. They said, okay, for the ones you have already done, that you borrowed money, that you'll be paying with Nigerians' future, how much? This man still could not answer that. And instead of figures, we got anger from this man. This is Nigerians' leadership problem. They are all arrogant. They are allergic to accountability and addicted to arrogance, as if they were born with arrogance. Even the ones that were born with silver spoon and the ones that were born poor, when they get to power, they all become the same thing. No level of accountability. And that is the same problem we have with that clown who calls himself the Senate president. The real smallness is not in one's stature, it is in integrity, and Umahi clearly does not have that integrity. Now, Umahi may build highways, he may build roads, but he clearly cannot handle questions. And that's one construction project his ministry, I repeat, his ministry will never complete if you cannot show accountability by answering questions. Shame on them. To me, these people are a disgrace to politics. Now, talking about some confused individuals, the youths in Ebonyi or Ebonyi youth are the lamest individuals I've ever seen in the 21st century. I do not believe that in the southern part of Nigeria, not in the northern part where we have so many people who are out of school, that a set of people who are suffering and hungry will come and carry placard and be defending a corrupt minister because he is from their state. This tribalism and this idea of na my state, has to end. The irony is very painful. Ebonyi youth whose roads are riddled with potholes and whose futures were sold for political contracts are now protesting against the only man asking questions on their behalf and on behalf of the general Nigerian. This is what happens when ignorance wears a party cap. Instead of defending transparency, they are defending tyranny. Umahi's boys may shout on the streets today, but they are still and they will still be trekking. And those same unfinished roads tomorrow will cause problems for them. Rufai Oseni's only crime is speaking truth to power, something the rented crowd can't afford to do because obviously those boys were paid to come and be doing what they are doing. In a sane country, those boys would have been protesting with Rufai against the governor or former governor instead of protesting against Rufai. Shame on the people of that state. I mean the youth who participated in that dance of shame. And these are the people whose future have been sold and they may never ever make it in their lives. And this is what they are doing. When Umahi's children are probably abroad or heading some big companies and government positions in the country, it's a pity. So it's official. In Nigeria, anything goes. If not for that, I wonder why a person who calls himself, an honorable Agbase, and to me, I would describe him as a dishonorable. Only in Nigeria do you find thieves, find cheerleaders, and this is the situation of Yahaya Bello, where this dishonorable Agbase is coming to praise Yahaya Bello that the allegations he will come out stronger instead of him to be saying how Yahaya Bello should go to jail. How can any sane lawmaker defend Yahaya Bello, a man accused of emptying Kogi State's treasury while his people wallow in poverty? This isn't loyalty. To me, it's lunacy wrapped in hypocrisy. It is madness. Honorable or dishonorable Agbese calling Bello a patriot is like calling a pickpocket a philanthropist. The Robin Hood politicians we have in Nigeria. Kogi's hospitals are dying. Its roads are ghost trails, yet billions vanished under Bello's watch. He was paying in advance hundreds of thousands of dollars for his children's school fees. Shame on both the looter and his defender. The twin kings of deception, the king of all deceivers in Kogi. When leaders steal and lawmakers clap for them, corruption stops being a crime and becomes a culture, and that's the real tragedy. And the people of Kogi State should stand up against this kind of injustice and lunacy. Otherwise, the future of their children would have been sold and would have been looted, and in the end, they'll be among the 139 million people that are living below poverty level in Nigeria. It's a shame. These two politicians are a disgrace to politics. So back to Edo State. Wonders shall never end. Now, wow, Edo State is the state where I am from, and then with that same Edo State, we see a 17-year-old boy, a business prodigy, can suddenly acquire 14 hectares of land, and nobody will ask how. 14 hectares of land. We have plots, about 6 plots make about 6 to 7 plots make an acre, and I don't know how many acres make an hectare or a hectare. So when I'll be uploading this video, I'll do it and I'll put it there as text. So this guy has 14,000, and now the Edo State governor, a clueless man, has come to say that he's not going to allow people acquire lands any longer. So in a country where adults can't afford rent, a teenager now owns a small nation. Yes, that is a nation as far as I'm concerned, and the governor is still scratching his head. That governor needs to be impeached. This isn't entrepreneurship, it's elite manipulation wearing baby face. This boy is representing somebody or a people or some politicians that have purchased this land in his name, or unless the boy is a yahoo, and I don't know how a yahoo boy of 17 can get such money to acquire that kind of land through Ministry of Land and all of that in that Edo State where I am from. While youth hustle for scholarship and sanity, political godfathers are laundering futures through wonder kids. All this money are funneled by politicians, to do that kind of thing, so it won't be traced to them. Edo government should stop clapping for miracles and start asking questions. Because if a 17-year-old boy owns that much land, someone somewhere owns the boy's soul. A politician. So let me know your thoughts are in the comment section. I remain your boy Ernest Omosogbe Adebayo Okoje. Please remember to like, share, subscribe and comment. Signing out. Peace.